Who remembers the Rite Aid pharmacy? This may seem trivial for some of you, but Rite Aid, as we all know, was one of the main competitors to CVS as far as over-the-counter medication goes, getting daily products from groceries to just various items. Rite Aid was everywhere. We're currently recording this on October 4th, 2025, and as of yesterday, an article just came out that Rite Aid has just closed down the remaining 89 stores. This was one of the remaining stores that was still intact, but as of yesterday, all of Rite Aid pharmacies are shut down. I'm currently in Brewster, upstate New York, and as you can see behind me, this Rite Aid is still here. There are various Rite Aids that were in Long Island, New York, as you guys know, but as of yesterday, Rite Aid is completely bankrupt, and you will never see Rite Aid again. This is crazy. Guys, Rite Aid was the main competitor to CVS, and as of yesterday, they've went bankrupt. Of course, on Grossman World, I'm here to report on things that are changing and things that are going on. So it's kind of crazy because I've grown up with Rite Aid my whole life, and now they are completely gone, and we're never going to see them again. We're in Brewster, New York right now. We're going to take a look behind me, and we're going to see what once was, see if we can look inside, and also just talk about the history of Rite Aid a little bit because this is pretty crazy. This is Grossman World Rite Aid. Let's take a look. The first Rite Aid opened up in 1964 in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And up until 2023, they weren't doing so bad. But then in 2023, they filed for bankruptcy for the first time. And now we're in 2025, and they've just announced that all of their stores are going away. Like I said, this is in Brewster, New York, guys. This is upstate New York. And they still have the sign up. Guys, you can't see the sign in many places. I live on Long Island, and they're starting to take all of these signs down.
But let's backtrack a little. How did Rite Aid become the brand that we all know as today? Rite Aid was started by Alexander Grass. He was born during the Great Depression. Dealing with a lot of hardships growing up, his father died when he was 9 years old. Eventually, in the 1950s, he went and got his law degree. And in 1960 is when a revelation would hit him. The Supreme Court ruled that manufacturers could no longer set a minimum price for retailers, basically meaning Alex could start charging much less for products, giving a much higher value in his stores. He quickly realized the profit potential in combining convenience retail and prescription drugs. In 1962, Alex Grass opened up his first store. thrift-d Discount Center opened up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and was a huge success. And eventually in 1968, he renamed it to what we all know today, Rite Aid.
Now more than ever, your Rite Aid pharmacies are the real word in town for value, where you'll find everyday...
In 1968, Rite Aid was listed on the American Stock Exchange, and from there, things continued to grow. From 1970s and 80s, Rite Aid saw exponential growth. Within 10 years of opening its first store, Rite Aid grew to 267 locations in 10 states. They also achieved their first $1 billion in sales. Through various acquisitions and organic store openings, Rite Aid was unstoppable.
See right here, they just put this up for rent. Apparently this went out of business about 2 months ago. But as of October 3rd, all 89 remaining stores are closed down. So this was obviously on the chopping block. I'm gonna try and lift the camera up and see if we can look inside up there and see if there's still anything intact. And look at that, guys. You can still see they have the shelves there, all the counters. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. They kept a lot of the stuff in the store here. You can still see they have the store layout all in there. I'm gonna try and zoom in. Look at that.
Okay, so what actually led to Rite Aid's decline? When Alex Grass retired in 1995, to that point his motto was the neighborhood pharmacy. But when his son, Martin Grass, took over, things took a much more ambitious turn. Martin Grass tried to push Rite Aid for fast expansion and tried to acquire as many businesses as he possibly could.
GNC, they had a bunch of supplements.
Funny I mentioned GNC. In December of 1998, Rite Aid and GNC had an exclusive partnership with each other. Wonder why you saw GNC in every single Rite Aid store? This is why. This was one of the good partnerships. But they made much more ambitious ones, like the one to follow.
Look at that shaving head right there. That's pretty funny. I'll try and zoom in on that. That's a pretty funny picture. Who went to Rite Aid, guys, I mean, this was really the competitor to CVS for the longest time, but I always felt like they were second fiddle. You got the toiletries right there, family, and they had that cleaning supplies right there. That is pretty crazy to see. And look over here. You got aisle 13, you had paper products. What happened to Rite Aid? Because it seems like they were offering a lot of different things.
By 2007, Rite Aid added an estimated 1,854 stores, and they were gearing up to become a main contender in the pharmaceutical industry. Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid was right under them, and they weren't planning on stopping. In April of 2004, it was announced that Rite Aid would be purchasing Eckerd and Brooks, a fellow drugstore chain, and would be acquiring 1,539 Eckerd and Brooks stores. This large of an acquisition would put Rite Aid right next to CVS and Walgreens.
But obviously for stuff like this, you can either go to the Dollar Tree, you can go to Staples, you can go to Walgreens, CVS. I mean, there's so many places you can go for stuff like this. What happened with Rite Aid that it wasn't able to compete?
Behind closed doors, Rite Aid was doing shady practices. As far back as 1997 to 2000, there were multiple accounting scandals with Rite Aid. They were stating earnings more than $1 billion over what they were actually earning, and doing this for years. This lying eventually caught up with them, and Martin Grass was sentenced to 8 years in prison. One of the harshest punishments ever given to a crime related to accounting. Granted, this is 2004 we're talking about here, and if you know anything about the housing crash, well...
Rite Aid founder and philanthropist Alex Grass has died. Grass started the Camp Hill-based company in 1962.
He died last night after a 10-year battle with lung cancer.
Once Alex Grass died in 2009, Rite Aid took a turn for the worse.
Take one last look at that, guys, because we're never going to see this layout again. If you want stuff like this, you're going to need to go somewhere else. This is Brewster, New York. It's currently October 4th, so if you want to see this, you still can, but not for long, because this is going to be abandoned. And look at as I walk across this building here, you can see the kind of like the geometric shapes. I like the design of Rite Aid. I always liked the blue and the green. I thought it was kind of cool. Not to mention the logo. But take a look at the side. I'm walking across this whole walkway here. You can see these shapes. I mean, was this designed specifically for Rite Aid? Seems like a lot of work. But I think the issue with Rite Aid is they weren't making enough money. And now they're in the position that they're in now.
The demise of Rite Aid fell on them like a ton of bricks. From the late 2010s to 2020s, Rite Aid was accused of failing to monitor suspicious prescriptions. Basically, opioid lawsuits. Giving out false prescriptions severely harmed Rite Aid's reputation. This, on top of the 2008 recession, Rite Aid was really struggling. Walgreens and CVS continue to outpace Rite Aid in terms of marketing and appeal. And by 2023, Rite Aid filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They began to close hundreds of underperforming stores, and they tried to restructure after being $2 billion in debt at this point. Throughout the next couple of years, they tried to rebrand, but by May of 2025, this was the final blow. They needed to liquidate, and the store count fell to 89 from their original 5,000. And now here we are in October of 2025. Rite Aid has just announced the closure of all remaining locations. Once a pioneer of the modern drugstore model, Rite Aid, through a series of unfortunate events and bad decisions, in a way, sealed their own fate. And now we can't help but look back at a store that will go down in history in nostalgia and old signage.
At the peak of Rite Aid's success, there were over 5,000 stores. Then in 2023, there were only 2,000. And as of yesterday, Rite Aid has closed the remaining 89 stores. We're by a piece of history right now, folks. And it's pretty sad to say that Rite Aid moving forward, you will not see it around. Comment below if you know of a Rite Aid by you in your local town, and be sure to take a picture and show me, because they're taking these signs down like crazy, and soon enough you're not gonna be able to see this again. So let's get some conversation going. Tell me your memories of Rite Aid. Did you go to Rite Aid? Do you prefer CVS? What was your experience with this store? And why do you feel like it was at its downfall? It's a great time reminiscing. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And now it's time we say goodbye to Rite Aid.
Rite Aid customers will need to find a new pharmacy. The company announced Friday that it's officially closed all of its stores.
Well, Rite Aid has officially closed all of its stores tonight after more than 60 years in business.
Prosecutors say they aren't satisfied with the sentence given today to the man who stabbed a Rite Aid clerk earlier this year.
Years in business. It announced in the spring it was filing for bankruptcy for a second time, and closures were imminent.